So it's 10 a.m. We only have one bill to exec, and so I'm going to, and I think, that's what I want to talk about in a minute, I think we're probably pretty much in agreement. So I'm going to get started. What I'd like to do is just, based upon my discussions with the ranking member and some other colleagues in the other caucus, as well as my own caucus, it appears that we are all in agreement. But let me just sort of recite what where I think we're going, and then if my understanding is incorrect, somebody has a different view, then then let's talk about it. At first, I would propose to recognize Representative Kutab for a motion to reconsider our vote at the last executive session on this bill. I assume from my discussions that we would all agree that we should reconsider. And then the next thing, assuming that motion to reconsider is successful, the next thing I would do is recognize Representative Manos for a motion on Amendment 2025-1922H. Have her speak to that if she desires. Anybody else wishes to speak to it may do that. And then I would call for a vote on the amendment. Again, from my discussion, it sounds like we're all in agreement on that. But obviously, if somebody has a different view, then that's fine too. And then we would vote on the amendment and then on the bill. The one thing that I have discussed with my caucus and with the ranking member and Representative Birch, and I assume everybody knows this, is we got some late input from the Attorney General's office suggesting some language that they would like included in the bill. Basically, and I think correctly, although I don't necessarily agree with all the language they propose, but basically their concern, and I think it's a legitimate concern, is they don't want anything that's done in this bill to in any way impact their ability to bring a criminal prosecution, and that I think is a legitimate concern. The specific language that they proposed, there were two sentences. The first sentence sounds fine. The second sentence was, I think, a little bit broader than it needed to be. I think Representative Birch shared that view. And so we've been sort of tweaking the language. And what I would propose is that, assuming that things go the way I've just discussed, that we would then come up with a floor amendment that would incorporate appropriate language that protects, and obviously we would get the input from the Attorney General's office to make sure that everybody's on board. And then we would propose that language in a floor amendment. And obviously if we run into, I don't anticipate at all that Representative Birch and I will have we'll run into any difficulties, but if we ran into any difficulties with the AG's office, we would get back to everybody to, let you know what's going on. So have I misstated anything? I mean, does anybody have a different understanding than what I sort of outlined? Representative Smith.
I don't have a different understanding, but I do just want to make sure I understand. This would be the Attorney General's office that has stated again and again, they do not write legislation. They will not tell us what should be in the legislation. It's that Attorney General's office?
It is that Attorney General's office. It is that Attorney General's office. And as I say, I understand your point. I really do. But I also think that, they do. I mean, it seems to me the last thing we want is to send legislation, have legislation passed by both houses, go to the governor, and she vetoes it because the Attorney General said, I have some great concern. And so I think that, I think there is a legitimate interest on the part of the Attorney General.
Mr. Chair, I agree completely, but I would like to quote one of our former presidents and say that as to the final language in that floor amendment, I trust, but I want to verify before I would agree to the floor amendment.
Oh, I know. I completely agree. We all have this. We make the decision on the floor amendment, not the Attorney General, for sure. And that's why I say some of the language that the Attorney General proposed was close, but I would say not good enough. And I think Representative Birch agrees with that. All right. So with that, I would recognize Representative Kutab for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to reconsider our vote on SB 148.
All right. Is there a second? I'll second. All right. Seconded, moved by Representative Kutab, seconded by Representative Smith. All right. Is there any need for discussion on the motion to reconsider? Seeing none, then I'd ask the, well, can we do this by a show of hands? Okay, anybody object to us having just a show of hands? All right, then all those in favor of the motion to reconsider, please raise your hand. Anybody opposed? All right, so the vote is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
17 to.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
I think you did not vote.
I cannot vote.
Okay, so 16. All right. All right. So we have reconsidered our decision. Right, and so I think that's a valid, since you weren't here, that you don't know what we were reconsidering. That's a valid position. All right. So we now have granted the motion to passed the motion to reconsider, and next I would like to recognize Representative Manos for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move my amendment 2025-1922H. And if I'm,
All right, is there a
I
second?
second.
All right, so that's moved by Representative Manos, seconded by Representative Kutab. Now, Representative Manos, would you like to speak to that?
just briefly, Mr. Chair, my amendment is a substitute all for the Birch-Lynn amendment. The only change it makes is it eliminates the paragraph on page 2, lines 17 through 19 of the Birch-Lynn amendment, and that's the only change it makes.
All right. All right. Anyone else wish to speak to the amendment? All right. Seeing none, are we ready for a vote? And again, on the amendment, anybody object to it being a show of hands? All right. Then all those in favor of adopting amendment 2025-1922, please raise your hand. Is there anyone opposed? All right. I believe it's 17-0. All right. Now we're on to the main motion of ought to pass SB 148 with amendment 19228. So it ought to pass as amended. Anyone wish to speak to the amendment? I mean, to the motion before we vote on the main bill?
I think we need a motion to OTPA.
No, I'm sorry. No, you're right. Representative Manos, you move.
Thank you. I would move OTPA.
I second.
All right. Moved by Representative Manos, seconded by Representative Kutab. Anyone wish to speak to the main motion? Representative Birch, anybody?
I can just be brief and say that this is the bill that has refused to die and has been on life support, and we're bringing it back to life. And it's an amendment that has taken a lot of work and a lot of wordsmithing, and I urge all here to pass it.
Anyone else wish to be heard? All right, so I just want to say briefly, I want to recognize Representative Kutab here for, as we may all remember, the vote on this, our original motion that we've now reconsidered was 17-1, and the one that was dissenting was Representative Kutab. She did a tremendous amount of research that I think was enlightening to all of us, and as a result of that, we had significant further discussions and came up with this revised proposal as reflected in Representative Manos's amendment. And I think it puts us well within the mainstream of what other states have done around the country. And I think it's a very good piece of legislation that I think we can be proud of, and hopefully the Senate will agree with us. And So that's all I wanted to say. I'm strongly in support of the bill. Anyone else, anything else to be said? All right, then I would ask the clerk to please call the roll on the motion of OTPA on SB 148 as amended by Amendment 1922H.
Vice Chairman Mannion,
Yes.
Representative Smith, Stephen Smith,
Yes.
Representative Tripp,
Yes.
Representative Andrus,
Yes.
Representative Kutab,
Yes.
Representative Boyd,
Yes.
clerk votes yes. Representative Morton,
Yes.
Representative Marjorie Smith, Representative Horrigan,
Yes.
Representative Birch,
Yes.
Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Manos,
Yes.
Representative Tur,
Yes.
Representative Rombo, Representative Bergeron,
Yes.
Chairman Lynn.
Yes.
17 yeas, 0 nays.
All right. So Representative Manos, may I call on you to write the report? All right, and you know what? Since we are going to have a floor amendment, this cannot go on consent. I mean, we just end up having to take it off. So we'll leave it on the regular calendar. With that, is there any other business that we need to discuss?
Mr. Chair, when will we see the actual language of the floor amendment?
Yeah, I've sent some language actually early this morning to Representative Birch, which I think he tentatively thinks is okay, but we wants to think about it a little bit more. And then the other thing, I have not run that by the AG's office, which I want to do. But I would say by early next week we should have something. And this is not going to be on the calendar. Representative Smith, am I correct that we're not going to have a session next week, a floor session next week?
I came here before going over, so I don't know.
Okay, all right. But then, all right. So I mean, I would think it would be unlikely. It's certainly not going to be on the calendar for tomorrow. And if it
Even
can't
be on the calendar. Well,
that's
Well, unless Sony's report is done by noontime today, it won't be on next week's
right,
calendar.
right.
Can't.
Okay, it can't. Okay, so that's So, so that's that. So don't have your report done by noontime today, so we can get this.
And I can assure, the Democratic side of the aisle here that they will be kept apprised of the language and the like.
That's right. I'll do the same thing with my caucus. I don't, as I say, I don't think that there's going to be much of an issue, but I'll make sure. I understand everybody wants to see the actual language before they, in plenty of time, and we'll make sure that happens. All right. Anything further that needs to be discussed? All right. Well, I guess we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. And I'm sorry to have to bring you all back for just one thing, a short meeting, but it was important, and I think it's worthwhile. Thank you.